Today on Free Field Training, we're going to be talking about a low visibility duty belt setup. We're going to talk about some of the things you can use to make a setup that's a little more low visibility for those times where we need to be armed for work, but we don't want to be drawing attention to ourselves. Now, I did a previous video, Armed and Suited, that you can see, links up there and down below, where we talked about some of the equipment considerations with working while you're in a suit. And while that has a lot of parallels here, there's some specific things about working in an environment out on the street or in a business environment where wearing a suit would actually make you stick out. And I think these come up a whole lot more than people think, especially today in 2022. If you're interested in any of the equipment that I'm going to show here, there are links and coupon codes and all of that down below. If you use those links and coupon codes, I make a little bit of money, but I still think you should feel free to shop around when you're buying things, and this should just be a primer for your first steps into the experience of trying to work in an environment that needs to be a little more low visibility. So whether you're doing a private security detail in a professional environment like an office where they don't want people to see that there's obvious armed uniformed security in the office, that comes up quite a bit. You're just doing some consulting work where you still want to have all of your equipment available, but you don't want to be wearing a uniform, or the client doesn't want you to be wearing a uniform. If you're in law enforcement, you're doing a close personal protection detail for something like an alderman or the mayor or a congressman or whatever in your area you're doing, or you're doing close personal protection in a private environment as a civilian contractor. Lots of times we need to be armed, we need to be carrying a whole bunch of gear, but we do not need to be wearing a duty belt and a uniform, or somebody doesn't want us wearing a duty belt or a uniform, or just going back and forth from our primary gig. We want to be able to carry all of our stuff with us, but we want to be able to easily don and doff the things that identify us as police, security, executive protection, things like that. So today I'm going to be going over how you can be carrying a firearm, a baton, a flashlight, cuffs, medical gear. Keep all of it on a belt so you're not stringing things on and off a belt every day if you have to be doing this for months and months and months at a stretch. I know some people are going to buy individual things and put them onto the belt that they run through the belt loops, but it is easier to have it all on one thing and be able to throw that on at the beginning and the end of the day, to be wearing body armor without people knowing some of the tips and tricks, not just about what to buy, but how to wear body armor to keep it relatively concealed when you're out working, not just what belt to buy, but how to keep it relatively concealed when you're out working, not just what type of holster to buy, but where to put it on your belt so that it's accessible to you and so that you can get to it and it's more concealed when you're out working and you're in more plain clothes. We're also going to talk about some of the blue on blue considerations, especially with people that you're not regularly working with, which can be a problem in larger areas and jurisdictions and a huge problem in the private sector when you're following somebody out into the world in their day-to-day activities, and a little bit about how we can up that identification in an emergency situation. The basis of a lot of this in being able to conceal stuff is, of course, the cover garment. That's been around since the beginning of time. This today I'm just showing is a blower. I think it's a 7930, something like that. It's a light jacket. It's waterproof. It doesn't contain a lot of heat generally. You can put a liner inside, which makes this very scalable. And that's why I generally use this for this purpose. I can throw this on almost any season as long as it's not over 75 degrees out, which is most of the year here in the Chicagoland area. And people aren't, I'm not going to stick out to people. I'm just a dude wearing gray pants and a black jacket walking around with a polo shirt untucked. At least that's what they see from the outside. The second step to this is knowing how to look like you have an untucked shirt without actually having an untucked shirt. So first we're going to kill the cover garment here. And as you can see, this covers a lot of evils. This, for reference, is the Blower 9870. Blower 9870. It's a really lightweight jacket. The good thing is, from a distance though, you can also kind of tell that it's a uniformy jacket, but most people are just going to see a black jacket. Same thing with the pants. I think these are True Spec 24/7s. I prefer gray pants for this type of thing, because tan pants or blue jeans tend to either stick out way too much or not enough, especially if they got pockets on the side. And I like to keep those pocket options open for carrying around gloves if I want to, or any stuff that I might need to dump in there, last minute equipment. I always keep my polo shirt untucked if I'm doing this type of thing and I'm keeping a jacket on. The guy with the tucked in polo shirt with the big belt in the front kind of sticks out. With this belt, you could probably get away with it. This is the Core Essentials Battle Belt. So I'll tuck it in here so you can see that there. The Battle belt is a cut-off design belt, so they give it to you. It's one size fits all, and you cut it down to size. I like this because it's 1 3/4 inches, so if you have to, you can put it inside your belt loops, but it also comes with an inner belt, so you throw your inner belt on, and it's got a little bit of adjustment, and then the outer belt is on this track system, where you can adjust it very, very tightly. It's a 1/4 inch increments, so when you're sitting down in the car, you can loosen it a little bit. When you get out, you can tighten it a little bit to maximize your concealment. And then there's a belt keeper here that holds the end of the belt in there in case it's loose so you don't get anything floppy. It doesn't print through the front of your shirt. I tend to wear a black polo shirt for this, and generally speaking, I use a heavyweight black polo shirt. This tends to conceal quite well. Back in the day, I used to throw kind of like a Hawaiian shirt, something with a print on it. Sometimes a checked shirt would work really well over the top of stuff. Nowadays, the Hawaiian shirts tend to stick out a little bit more, and most people aren't wearing an untucked, straight bottom checked shirt, so those tend to stick out. But a black jacket, that's pretty ubiquitous everywhere you go in the country today, as long as it's not too hot outside for it. The Hawaiian shirt can still work, the check shirt can still work, but it sticks out more these days. And if I was in a very hot environment, if I was going to be trying to do a detail down in Atlanta, or if it was in the middle of summer in Chicago and I was trying to do this, I might throw them on. I still have them upstairs, but it's not my recommendation today. A heavyweight twill polo shirt will hide a lot of problems for you. It doesn't tend to print things that are under it. If you leave it untucked, you could almost throw it over the top of all of your gear and not have anything show up through it. Most people are pretty oblivious to what's going on in the world, and these tend to do pretty well as long as you buy them a size larger. This, I normally wear a size large polo shirt. This is a size XL, and the size XL is able to easily conceal my body armor that I'm wearing here. I've got Under Armour undershirt under here, a heat gear shirt, and then underneath I have Safe Life Defense's new Hyperline in their ultra concealable carrier. This is a pre-production prototype that I'm testing for them. There's lots of other things on the market that do a very similar thing. There's very, very thin, less than 1/4 inch thick, very, very light body armor. This just happens to be the Safe Life Defense Level 3A Hyperline is a 3A vest that's about as thick as most Level 2 vests that I've used, and it's pretty comfortable. What I did is, when you get it, it's a really thin panel, and it's fairly stiff. I put it on, wore it to bed, wore it around for a while, got it warm, and it molded to my body. And then when I throw it underneath a heavyweight twill polo shirt, it just kind of disappears. Especially with the jacket on, which covers the little areas that always stick out in body armor right here. And leaving the polo shirt untucked gets rid of the line across your gut that body armor tends to create. So the combination of an extremely thin, extremely light armor that doesn't sag on you, that's properly fitted, and a heavyweight twill polo shirt can get you through wearing body armor, not looking like you're wearing body armor, at least not to your everyday person. Wearing a jacket over the top also solves a lot of these body armor showing at the neck when you bend over issues. Standing up straight is one thing, but when you start bending over, flexing, doing things, even in an office environment, you start sitting down into chairs, things can start to show. And so the more layers you can put between the observer and the thing that you're trying to conceal, the better off you are. The pouches I'm using today are from a variety of manufacturers. My holster here is just a straight drop holster, sitting kind of high on my belt from Allegiance Holsters. Over on this side, I have one of their concealment mag pouches with one fully loaded mag in it. These are great. Generally speaking, for duty, I prefer a triple out mag pouch like this one. But if you put a triple out mag pouch on and you're trying to conceal it, it's going to stick out further from your body. And realistically, for what we're doing here, we have to be picky about what it is we scale up. Do we want 3 mags? Or do we want 1 mag and to know we're all right? Most of our reasons for having a spare mag, again, is malfunctions with the pistol. 1 mag should get us through the day in most circumstances, especially if we're in a low visibility detail. If I thought I was moving diamonds that day and needed a low visibility setup, maybe having multiple magazines and not all the rest of the stuff would make more sense. Further back, I've got a flashlight. This is ASP's T1 DF. It's just a really small, innocuous flashlight, fits in the hand, gives you all the performance you need. It works the same way as the Raptor DF, if you're familiar with that. So if you're already using an ASP duty light, this is a great way to scale down the size. It came on a little pouch that also fits not only the light and keeps it close to your body, but also keeps one of their Agent Infinity batons on it. These things are great for being able to have a stick, even if it's a light, fairly short stick, that you can keep on your person and doesn't weigh down your belt, and still gives you the ability to have a striking weapon on your person. If I was going to be doing an executive protection detail for, say, a film crew, and I knew I was going into a civil disturbance, maybe this is one of those things that I would want to upsize to a full-size baton, maybe even one that's larger than this 21-inch baton. If I knew I was going to be doing this in a commercial environment, we were going to be out at night the entire time, they didn't want it to look like they had armed security rolling around in uniform, one thing I might upgrade might be my flashlight. This is the Pelican 8060. I've got a video just on the Pelican 8060 and on batons and on handcuffs and all sorts of stuff, but this is something I might want to put in there. But when we start upsizing things and we start putting a full-size set of handcuffs and a triple mag pouch and a massive flashlight on our belt and a full-size baton, this stuff starts getting really big. So we have to be considerate of how high we scale this stuff and what exactly we're scaling up and scaling down given the environment that we're working with. Being a little more selective when we have to conceal all the stuff. Further back from that, I have just a taco pouch from High Speed Gear, and I have a pair of mil-spec plastics Cobra cuffs in here. These are zip cuffs, and they get tight to the body, which is really good, and they conceal down much smaller than, say, these zip cuffs that you are carrying around that make these big, massive loops. They also come in a variety of colors if that's the type of thing that interests you. I try to stay away from the dark green jackets, tan gloves, tan pants type of thing when I'm doing this. It's also a lot easier to carry around than big, massive zip ties for zip cuffs like these. ASP also makes a version of these. These work really well for duty use because they come in a container with 2 pairs of the cuffs and a cutter on the side, and they can clip on and off of your duty belt pretty easily. The downside to these for concealment is that this is obviously too big for concealment. Same thing as like the triple mag pouch, it's just too big for concealment. And it also has the flippy floppy thing here, which can stick out from your clothes if you try to conceal it with it. You could pop this thing off, but realistically, this is a much better duty option for keeping zip cuffs on your person, and this is a slightly better concealment option. I can just throw this into a pocket of a coat. This, although the size is a little smaller overall, the doohickey causes me some issues occasionally with trying to conceal this. Just an observation on my part. The great thing about having the Core Essentials Battle Belt, it's actually got MOLLE on it, even though it's only an 1 3/4 belt, and that allows me to put things on the belt and keep them in that spot. And that's absolutely essential when you're trying to move in and out of cars and sitting in chairs and getting up and moving around and doing things other than just standing at a static post. I want my mag pouch to be where I left the mag pouch, and this gives me the option of locking things in by MOLLE attaching some things and the ability to move things around that I don't want sitting in one place in case I have to be in and out of a car, or if I want to be able to take something on and off of the belt, I can just run it around the belt and be able to remove it. One example of that is my med pouch back here. If I'm going to be standing around all day, I can put my med pouch all the way to my back, where we'd also put a radio all the way back there, be able to clip and unclip it off of the belt. The mag pouch I can clip around the belt, and then I can just unlatch it and unclip it if I'm going from standing around all day to, oh, now you've been reassigned to dealing with somebody and you're going to have to drive a car. You don't want to be sitting on all that stuff behind you. This one is from Allegiance Holsters, and I like it because it allows you to get to your tourniquet with either hand with this little pouch underneath, and also you can rip open your med kit with either hand, and the whole med kit comes out. It's already pre-sealed inside of a vacuum lock container. So you get everything out, pull it out in front of you, and can work with it. You can also unclip this from your belt without having to take the belt off. There's 2 clips on the bottom here, and I can pop it all the way off of my belt. Of course, for low visibility, I could take or leave this since no one's ever going to see it, and anybody that's on the team should probably already know that I'm carrying one of these around. But this is a good option. It allows you to MOLLE attach this either direction on your belt or on a vest, and with this, in this case, I can take it on and off the belt, which is a big advantage for me. By selecting colors that are commonly used by law enforcement and security and styles that are commonly used by law enforcement and security, if we get into a situation, we might be able to save ourselves a little bit of heartache and pain by someone coming on a scene, seeing that either we're wearing the color of the day, a hat's a good solution for that, or an undershirt's a good solution for that. Maybe you want to get your polo shirt in whatever the color of the day is, and that wearing things like a pair of gray Merrell hiking boots with your gray pants that have pockets on the side that are made by a major manufacturer like True Spec or Proper for tactical pants, where guys might see them and go, oh, I recognize that when they come on the scene, especially if you're fighting with somebody. It's real easy for people to be able to recognize, oh, that looks like a cop or a security guard, versus a lot of people say if you're trying to do a low visibility deal to wear blue jeans. I think blue jeans don't get that same effect. There's some pluses and minuses to that. If I was trying to do more of an undercover type of thing where people didn't even know that I was working at the time I was doing it, blue jeans would definitely be the way to go. But I don't like that if I'm working and I want people to know that I'm working, even if I don't want them to know exactly what it is that I'm doing. Another advantage of doing a low visibility setup is people don't exactly know what you are until you want them to know who you are. And that can have advantages. You can stencil police or security or whatever, the company name or whatever, on the back of a polo shirt like this, and as long as you have that jacket on, people don't know who it is you work with or what you're doing when you're interacting back and forth with them, when you're watching them. And sometimes you get compliance just because you look squared away and people don't know what you have. It's that old throw a windbreaker on just about anybody and throw them out there type of thing. People see a windbreaker that says security and they assume that they're going to have all of this stuff. They assume they're going to have handcuffs or a gun or whatever else, but they don't ever know. And sometimes keeping people guessing is a good thing. When you are getting a little older and a little wiser and you're doing details where you don't necessarily want people knowing you're the police working this security detail, having police stenciled on your back or maybe a badge hanging around a neck that you can tuck in to a pocket or tuck in under your polo shirt might be a huge advantage where you're not causing trouble for your bosses. People don't know that this is the level of security that's been hired for the detail. You can get compliance there just because people are afraid of the unknown. And we always want to stress toward that voluntary compliance whenever we can. This, of course, isn't the be-all and end-all of doing these types of things. I'm sure there are people out there who do this for a living every single day that have plenty more to say about it. If you're one of those people, put it down in the comment section down below. I would love to hear about it. I'm sure the audience would love to hear about it as well. But this is one way that I found to be able to wear body armor, my full-size duty pistol, a pair of cuffs, and a baton, and a flashlight, and a spare mag, and have it all readily available so I can take it on and off as fast as I need to, and med gear, and to look like I'm a professional doing a job without announcing to the world exactly what that is, especially working private security gigs. In a corporate environment, very often they don't want to announce what it is that's going on, or they might have a separate company that they have doing uniform security and they want somebody else dealing with just employee issues or just retention issues or just security issues that are a little higher end than what the armed security, $12 an hour person is going to do at the front door, pushing a button and greeting people inside. So this is your first time doing it. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Till next week, you guys be safe and take care of each other. Hey, thanks for watching Free Field Training on YouTube. And while you're here, why don't you check out some of these other goofy videos that I've made? Or you could subscribe or maybe go over to Patreon and see how you get your name put on the videos like these fine folks over here. All the links are, of course, down in the description. We'll see you guys next time.